What up, everybody? Plus One Tattoos. Okay, we're gonna do this video a little different. We're gonna talk about lining, and there's a lot to cover with lining, and I feel like that's where people struggle the most with tattooing. So I'm gonna go a little more in depth with the tattoo that we're doing. We're actually working on. There's some line work in there, but there isn't a whole bunch. So right now I'm gonna go over a little more in depth of the different machine styles we can use with lining and the different things that come along with it. And we're gonna finish the tattoo, but I thought it would be better to just talk a little bit more about the different aspects of lining a tattoo. Yeah, so all right, so the machines we're gonna use today, we're gonna use a rotary. This is an Inkjecta. This is their wireless version, rotary. Very nice machine, very high tech, kind of fragile. It's broke a couple times on me, but a very good machine. I love the machine. This is about a $1,200 machine, and this is your rotary machine. When I mean rotary, it has a motor in it that spins in circles, and that's what makes the needle go up and down, okay? This one is a Dan Cuban. This is kind of like a mix between, it is a rotary machine, but it kind of favors a coil machine, if you can see. This is more of a coil machine. It has a motor right here that spins, and that's what causes an amateur bar to go up and down, but it hits more like a coil machine versus a rotary machine. And this is just like your traditional coil machine. This is a local builder here in San Diego. It's just a regular coil, nothing special about it. It's a good machine, I like it. But these all range. This is a $1,200 machine. This one is $800, and this is a $400 machine, okay? So when I'm doing smaller lines or realism or anything like that, I'm always using a rotary, and if it's realism, it's a 3 type, okay? I would use this machine. If I'm doing bigger lines, like any kind of traditional or something where I need a solid 1-pass line, I'm probably gonna use this one. This is the Dan Cuban. Or this one will also work too. This is probably what I used before I got the Dan Cuban. This is kind of, the Dan Cuban is kind of an upgrade from the coil machines. All right, so right now I'm gonna start lining with a 3 tight. Now 3 tight is probably one of the most difficult things to line with, next to like a single needle. Like that's just, some people do that. I don't particularly like lining with a single needle. Some people do it just to do it, but it's very difficult. A 3 tight is about as low as I go. And this is for like realism, okay? So when I'm lining with the 3 tight with realism, I usually use a gray wash. This is like diluted ink. This is solid black. This is diluted probably about halfway, maybe only 30% black, okay? So really important when you're lining, okay? You wanna make one solid stroke, 1 pass, and get it in, okay? Does it happen perfectly every time? No, we're not machines, and that's okay. But you wanna try to get it in the first pass when you're lining the best you can, okay? If you have to come back and do it again, that's fine, but you wanna shoot for 1 pass and get it all in, okay? Typically, just for full disclosure, typically all my lines aren't solid in one pass, you know what I mean? Nobody's are. We're not machines, but that's what you wanna shoot for, okay? So when I start a line, I pick one spot. I pick a beginning spot and an end spot. So say like this is a line on a rose petal or something. This is one whole petal. I'm gonna start from the beginning of the rose petal, and I'm gonna end, and I'm gonna go all the way through as much as the stroke of my hand allows me to. If I have to pick up, there's ways to do it, but you want to try to make it look seamless without any hiccups, okay? If you look at a heel tattoo, like over time, look at a tattoo that's 3 years old with line work, okay? You're gonna see the inconsistencies in the line where it starts to spread out a little bit, you know what I mean? And that's because sometimes people don't get all the way through, and that's just typical. Most tattoo artists can't get one single line all the way through. You have to pick up sometimes, but you wanna try to avoid that, all right? So here we go. I'm gonna I'm just gonna do one straight solid line. And this is with a gray wash. It's gonna come out a little light. And this is what I go for when I do my realism, because a lot of times I'm gonna bring my dark shading up next to it. So don't trip off it being light. This is just for demonstration purposes. So here we go. So that's one solid line. Let me clean this off a little bit for you. And if you're using this fake skin, it's really good to use your A&D ointment to clean it off and get it a little better. But if you look really close, I don't know if the camera could even get that close, but you'll see, like from a bird's eye, the line is very, very straight, very consistent. But if you zoom in with your own eyes, you'll see the inconsistencies in the line. Now, that happens with damn near every line. It's not a big thing, but you want to look for those to see where you can get your hand motion a little more smoother, a little more all the way through. So I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna go over this line with the black, okay? Now, keep in mind, this is fake skin, okay? If this was solid skin, you have other variables. I mean, if this was real skin, you have other variables that come into play, like blood, you know what I mean? Like, is your stencil staying on? Those types of things. But this is just for demonstration purposes. I'm gonna go with the solid black. Again, when you're tattooing, you're doing line work, try to get it from one stroke all the way down in one stroke on your first pass. Another thing, real quick, another thing to keep in mind is your hand speed and your needle depth and your stretch, okay? So this is fake skin, so I don't really have to stretch it. If this was real skin, what I would be doing is I'd use my palm right here to stretch the skin, and I'll use my other two fingers right here to stretch the skin like that. If you can see, can you zoom in? And you'll see when I stretch it, the line kind of stretches a little bit. That's how I get a good stretch, you know what I mean? And then I'll run my line. So I'm gonna show you doing that, okay? So again, keep in mind, single pass. I'm gonna use my palm to stretch the skin, use my other finger to stretch the skin, and boom. We're gonna try to get it in single pass. Notice my hand speed. I'm not going super fast. I'm going at a good amount of speed to allow the ink to get in there, allow the needle to puncture the skin, and get a good consistent line. Now, I'm gonna clean this off and check it out. Very clean line. That's what you wanna go for. Hand speed is really important. Your stretch is really important, because think about if you're tattooing the stomach. That stomach skin is super elastic, you know what I mean? Like, it's very hard to get a good line on the stomach. You gotta stretch that skin really well. But versus like an arm, you know, or a shin, where you don't have a lot of meat if you're not chunky, you know what I mean? But if you don't have a lot of meat there, you know what I mean, it's a little easier to get a stretch, okay? So, things to remember. 1, first pass, try to get in the first pass. 2, you wanna get a good stretch, okay? 3, you wanna pick points from A to B, solid lines all the way through, okay? That's how we get a good line. Now I'm gonna do it with a little thicker needle. All right, now we're gonna switch to a bigger needle. Now I'm using, this is a Dan Cube, and this is like the Bugatti of lining machines. These are super expensive. He makes custom ones that, like, you gotta wake up early Sunday morning and put a bit in or they're gone. This one is just like his you know, this ain't one of the most expensive. It's pretty expensive though. But Workhorse Irons did a series of these. I guess Dan Cuban licensed his design for them, and it's a little cheaper, but it's still hella expensive. But it's called I think it's called a 3-volt or something like that. I'm not sure, but it's about an $800 machine. But this thing puts in a line really, really well. And I usually use these Dan Cubans for larger line groupings. Like if I'm doing traditional or I'm doing something that has, you know, just some lettering or something, I'll use this for the thick parts of the letters or something like that. But I'm gonna show you with larger needle groupings. I think this is a 5. This is a 5 round. This ain't super large, but I spread it out so it's more like a 5 round shader. When I say spread it out, I just I put a lighter on the tip of the solder, and it spreads the needles out, so it gives a little thicker line. But anyways, I'm gonna show you a little larger line right next to this 3 tight that I did. Okay. So same thing. I'm just gonna, when I'm doing this line, I'm gonna go from, you know, just pick 2 points, A to B, okay? Look at my hand speed. It's fake skin, but look at my stretch. I'm gonna stretch with my palm and these fingers, and I'm gonna do the line in between there. So the important thing is hand speed, the stretch, also the needle depth. I'm not going super far. I'm working just off of the tips of the needle. And if you practice this a lot on the fake skin, that's more of a feel thing. You'll start to get a feel for how deep you go, you know what I mean? So I recommend a ton of practice before you start really tattooing real skin, because you want to get a natural feel for tattooing, you know what I mean? So anyways, here we go. So I'm gonna start from here, palm stretching the skin, finger stretching the skin, and I'm gonna just go from A to B. This is a little thicker line. Watch my hand speed, okay? Watch my needle depth. I try to keep them all consistently the same so I get a nice, smooth, consistent line. I'm gonna clean this off. Good quick tip: if you're using fake skin, you gotta use your A and D alignment a lot to clean off the needle or clean off the skin. Okay, the line came a little light, and I think that's more so because of the fake skin versus this machine, because this machine is getting in there. But I'm gonna do it again, okay? That's okay, but sometimes that happens in a tattoo. You do a solid line, and the line comes back light, and you gotta hit it again, and that's perfectly fine. So stretch, needle depth, consistency. Okay. So the ink got in there a lot better. Let me clean this off for you guys so you can see. Okay. And boom. And really what it is, like you see me doing line work, and it's easy to me. It's not easy, but it's easier to me than it probably is for you who haven't done it. And the reason that is because practice. I'm comfortable running a line. That's second nature to me because I've done it so much. So the real number one key, if you want to get better at line work, is practice. And you want to practice here first so you don't jack up, your friends and your family, you know what I mean? Practice here, get it down here on fake skin where it feels comfortable, preferably under the supervision of a trained tattoo artist or, a veteran tattoo artist in an apprenticeship. But realistically, everybody doesn't get apprenticeships. I didn't get an apprenticeship. I taught myself, you know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna, condemn you if you just want to teach yourself. There's a lot of top artists in the world who learn that way. So I know lots of tattoo artists like to frown upon that, but it's perfectly possible to teach yourself on YouTube. That's how I learned. That's why I do these videos, because tattoo artists were, jerks. They didn't want to teach me, so I had to teach myself. So I'm just trying to give back in that way, you know what I mean? All right, so back to lining. The main thing is just consistency. You see these lines are all straight, one pass all the way through, actually 2 passes, but whatever. It looks like it's one pass, don't it? You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna do one more demonstration with the coil. All right. And the coil is pretty similar to the Dan Cuban. The Dan Cuban is just probably, you know, it's just a more high profile machine, and it does work a little better. The thing about coils is that these fall out of tune really quickly. It's kind of like that old classic car that you have. Like if you drive it a lot, you gotta know how to fix it. You know what I'm saying? Like, because these things are gonna break. The spring breaks all the time. Like these screws and stuff kind of fall out of tune. So you kind of got to know how to tune these, because you get them out of the box and they work great, and then, you know, 6 months down the line, you gotta tune it up and do different things. That's why I feel like a lot of people are moving away from these, because like I never have to tune this rotary machine. Like it just, I take it out of the box and it works exactly how it did the first day I used it. Versus these, sometimes you definitely got to tune them. Okay. All right. So. All right. So same thing. I'm gonna run it right next to this. I think this is a 5 round. Here we go. So just again, stretch, palm, fingers, hand speed, trying to get it all in one pass. I do not know why it is fake skin. They don't, like a line, if this was on, it's supposed to look this dark, but for some reason it doesn't. But we'll do it again. You know, who cares? There we go. There you go. That's a solid line, solid, clean line, and that's just to show you with the rotary or with the coil. You know, these things really put in solid lines. Another thing, one more quick tip before I let you go. Just a quick tip thing to keep in mind when you're doing curves on your line. So I'm gonna do a quick S right here to kind of show you. Okay, usually at the top of the curve, when you're going into the curve, it kind of naturally goes a little deeper. So that's just something to look out for when you're doing curves, okay? So you kind of want to just be aware of that. All right, so in conclusion, I just want to say, number one things in tattooing, make sure that you try to get it all in one pass if you can. If you have to go over a line once, maybe twice, it's fine, but try to get it all there in one pass. Get a good stretch on the skin. Also, hand speed is very important. Make sure it's slow enough that all the ink gets in there, that it's puncturing the skin, but fast enough that you're not causing hiccups, okay? So homework is just to really go and look back at some of your heel tattoos. I don't know if you tattooed yourself or a friend. Try to get pictures, or always try to get pictures of heel tattoos and examine them and look at your line work and see if the line is still straight, or see if there's a blowout or, you know, a little hiccup in there, and see how you can improve that next time. And don't get discouraged about line work, okay? Sometimes it takes, I mean, I know veteran tattoo artists who are still insecure about their lines. Line work is just that. It's a hard thing to kind of master. Sometimes I still get insecure about my line work, but you know, just practice a lot, practice on this. One other thing I used to do is I used to get a felt pen and I would get a sheet of graph paper and I would just draw straight, consistent lines on the whole. I try to fill up the whole graph paper when I was beginning, just so I can get that muscle memory, so my lines would be straight and I would have a steady hand. So that's another tip, okay? Again, don't be discouraged. All of this with anything. You want to be the best basketball player in the world, you better go out there and shoot baskets, you know, 100 a day or whatever the case. You want to have consistent line work, you better have you some fake skin and you better be practicing. You better have you a sketchbook or some graph paper and practice drawing straight, consistent lines, because it all translates, you know what I'm saying? So again, I just want to leave you with that. Don't be discouraged. Everything takes practice and time and hours in to master it, but if you do these things, you will get better. Again, my name is Cliss1. Like, subscribe, share this with a friend, and anything I can do to help, hit me up, DM, all that good stuff, you know what I mean? All right.